Father of sports medicine here at UAA. He started volunteering as UAA's first recognized team physician back in 1976 and began to organize a core group of local physicians to volunteer for coverage of various UAA athletic events. Finally, in 1985, then UAA Athletic Director Ron Petro formally named Dr. Mills as UAA's first official head team physician due to his incumbent retirement at that time, back in 1985, from a 30-year career as an orthopedic surgeon. Dr. Mills tapped one of that group's team physicians, Dr. Jay Caldwell, to assume the role of head team physician in 1986, and Dr. Mills was honored with the title Head Team Physician Emeritus. You can read in greater detail Dr. Mills' contributions to UAA and in turn to the thousands of student athletes, including those that have come since, including those of you today, assembled here. But I'd like to tell you a bit of a story about this remarkable man before he ever came to help us here at UAA. He moved with his family to Alaska in 1922 at the age of 4. After earning his undergraduate degree in zoology and anthropology from Cal Berkeley, he served as a commissioned ensign in the Navy during World War II from 1942 to 1945. In January 1944, he severely injured his right leg in a salvage operation, which resulted in a below-the-knee amputation. He was the recipient of many prestigious military awards, including the Legion of Merit, the Bronze Star, and the Purple Heart. He completed his medical degree in 1950 at Stanford, and his residency in orthopedic surgery was completed at the University of Michigan Hospital, and then he went on to a fellowship at Vanderbilt University. Dr. Mills continued his military service by serving in the Medical Corps Reserve from 1956 to 1978 and retired as a Rear Admiral. He also served as Chief of Orthopedic Surgery for the 3rd Marine Amphibious Force in Vietnam from 1966 to 1967. From his own account, the high point of his career took place in 1952 when he successfully performed an appendectomy on a clinic kitchen table in the village of Clarks Point, Alaska. He was assisted by an 18-year-old named Bella Gardner and a dental corpsman using ether as anesthesia. Now, Bella Gardner later married Jay Hammond, who later became governor of Alaska. From 1980 to 1990, he was the director of the Center for High Latitude Health Research here at UAA within the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, and work by the center included having a camp at Mount McKinley and the innovative use of biofeedback for conditioning climbers as well as for frostbite injury reduction. In the 1980s, Dr. Mills was cited as the nation's leading authority on cold injury, including hypothermia and frostbite, and due to his expertise in this area, he has been written about or referenced in such periodicals as Vogue, Time, and Sports Afield. Over the years, Dr. Mills has received awards too numerous to mention, including ones from the American Medical Association and NASA, just to name a couple. In 2001, he received the Distinguished Achievement Medal from the University of Michigan Medical School, and in 2003, he received an honorary Doctor of Letters here at UAA. Having worked here at UAA since 1981, I knew of Dr. Mills and his work here at UAA, but until recently, I can tell you I did not fully comprehend his remarkable service to our state and our country. Folks, we're literally honoring a living legend here today. Our next presenter has had the privilege of knowing Dr. Mills as a team physician for his hockey teams back in the late 70s and early 80s. Our presenter was part of the Seawolf Hall of Fame class back in 2002, founding father himself of Seawolf Hockey. He served as head coach from 79 to 96, leading the team from a club sport all the way to NCAA Division I status and eventually into the WCHA. His teams posted 287 wins, and he led the Seawolves to 3 NCAA tournament appearances. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rush Richardson.
Man, what a hockey game last night. Good job, guys. Just keep that up. Well, we didn't know we had a guy like Dr. Mills working for us. We're going back 30 years. A lot of you athletes, in fact, every one of you athletes probably weren't even thought of yet. And some were probably not wanted at that time. But anyway, the one thing that I think we have, you know, with Dr. Mills, who was definitely, yes, he was a father of UA sports medicine. Even though at the time, you know, no one recognized him as that because he was always in the shadows. It was the early 80s, you know, it was the good old times, that's what I call it. Doc loved the hockey players. He had some of his family played the game also. And so, back in those days, our athletic budget barely covered the hockey sticks. You players sitting over there now and you break a stick over the goalpost or something like that, you know, you'd be boring the guys next to you on the back bench to get out your next shift when we were playing back in the early 80s. So you'd go light on that. So to have someone like Dr. Mills volunteer his time, we had Doug Erickson there, who was our trainer, but it was Doc Mills that did everything for the players. And not only did he do it for the players, he did it without pay. And then, as the players started getting a little bigger and stronger, we needed more physicians. He went out and recruited them and had them all volunteer their time, which was so great for our whole program, because not only the hockey team benefited from that, but all the players benefited from it. One of the physicians that he recruited was Dr. Payne, who was a dentist. And every freshman that came in, we would tell him the first guy you're going to have to see is Dr. Payne, stress pain. And guys eyes would go, you know, why is it Dr. Payne? We told him that's just what his name is, you know. But he did all the mouthpieces for us and so on and so forth. And then again, there was a big cost factor that we would have had to put up if we didn't have this type. I have a few stories I'd like to tell you. There's 100 of them I know on Doc Mills. He did things with some players that, you know, really helped him out. A lot of guys couldn't have had it done. But there was a freshman on a team, which everybody in here probably knows, John Hill, who played 4 years here, was an assistant coach here for years, and was the head coach here prior to Dave Shack. John Hill, on a Thursday practice, breaks his wrist. He goes in and sees Dr. Mills. Dr. Mills casts him. Friday, we're playing the series. We've got a 2-game series coming. John says, yeah, I got my hand, Doc. He cast it for me. It looks pretty good. Feels good. He says, I cut it a little bit so I can grab a stick. And he said I could play. Okay. All right. So John played. And Saturday night, he didn't do bad. Friday, Saturday night, he came. I noticed he had the cast off. I said, what'd you do with the cast? He says, it was bothering me. I cut it off. I says, oh, geez, you gonna be all right? He says, yeah, it hurts, but it'll be okay. So we finished the game. And we won the series. So everything was happy. They probably went out and they had some, you know, Diet Pepsi that night. It's Sunday. He's in seeing Doug Erickson. He says, I couldn't see Doug. My wrist is killing me. He goes in and sees Doc on Monday. He goes in and sees Doc. And Doc says, where's the cast? John said, well, I cut it off. I wanted to play this weekend. Whoa, John said, God, he scolded me something fierce. He says, don't you ever mess up one of my things that I do with you, or you will regret it. Well, 4 years later, John gets an ACL and has to go in for an operation, and he goes to see Doc Mills. Operation takes place. Everything went fine. Doc comes in the morning and says, John, geez, everything went good. John was happy about that. He says, we've got two options here. We've got this here new leg brace that we can use for you, and it works really good. He said, you know, you can shower, take it off and shower and so on. And that. Otherwise, he said, I'm going to have to cast it, and that'll be from your toes right to your hip. John, without a doubt, says, I'll take the leg brace. And Jonathan said, okay. So he talked to the people there, and then he stopped and he said, John, you the one that cut your cast off your wrist? Yeah, John joking, you know, yeah, I did that, I'm sorry, Doc. He said, that's okay, cast him. 2 months he was in that cast. Payback, says that. So, that was really good. The other thing, the other little story I'd like to say, and then I'm talking with Ron Petro about, and I'm sure I probably messed it up a little bit, but I don't know if Ron really knew Dr. Mills was on our program or on the hockey team or worked that close with us, but Ron came into the dressing room and Doc Mills was there sewing one of the guys up. Back in those days, remember the face mask? Some of you guys might remember when they used to always cut your chin. One of the guys had to take some stitches and was getting stitched up, and here's, you know, dim light, and Doc's in there. Ron Petro says to Doug Harrison, who's this little guy here with the beard? Just sewing him up in our room. He said, no, that's our team physician. He's been with us for years. He's not even on our staff. He was made right there and the father of, you know, UA medical system. So that's how he came into it, and we were sure happy for that. But with his valuable help, you know, the program went on and on and on, and with making our players healthy and everything, we ended up filling the building up, which really helped the overall program. All the other sports there went financially, and you athletes right now have it great, and some of that is because of Dr. Mills' efforts from back in 30 years ago. So it's my honor and pleasure to present for induction in the Seagull Hockey Hall of Fame, Dr. Williams Mills. And receiving the award from him will be his lovely daughter, Sarah.
I am so proud of my father. He can't be here today because he's really old and really tired. But he knows what's going on. I got to work with him in the 80s when he treated all the hockey players, and he really liked hockey players, you guys. So on behalf of my family, most of who are sitting here, and one brother who had to go back to Kasilof last night, and one brother who is watching us from heaven. Thank you very much for this very special plaque. Thank you.
Our next presenter is literally an Anchorage legend.